Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session. Welcome. So, if you're joining now, please feel free to join the Mentimeter. You can use the code above, 4404 6176, or feel free to join via the link that's in the chat as well. Welcome, everyone. So please feel free to join the Mentimeter on the screen. And then we're going to kick off today's session. As you can see, today's session it's all about tracking, measuring, and also inspiring. So please feel free to join. I can see one person has joined the Mentimeter. Please go ahead and join. You can join via the link in the chat as well. So please feel free, go ahead and join. So it's today, before we start the session, I just have a quick check-in question for you. We want to know where you're joining us from today. We would like to have an idea of where you are joining us from today. Welcome. So we can say hi to everyone. You can also put that in the chat as well. For those just joining us now, please do join the Mentimeter. I can see Ghana, I can see Zambia, Afghanistan as well. Welcome to everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for joining today's session. Okay, well, not a lot of people are, guys, we need more activity in here. So Malawi as well. So welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining today's session. Welcome. So we're going to move on today. Before we start the session, we're going to just have a quick overview. So today's training masterclass is brought to you by ITC, the Yay community as well, and also in collaboration with the Green Team. So today we're going to be having Isaac Rutos conduct this training for today. So welcome from Barbados, and I can only see Uganda. But before we kick off, I'm just going to do a quick introduction to the Yay community to explain more about our community for those who are not entirely familiar, or if this is your first time participating in one of our events or one of our trainings. So the Yay community is really a global platform that is powered by the ITC, and our goal is really to support young entrepreneurs across the globe. So youth entrepreneurs under the age of 35 across the globe. How we do this is that we connect you with different tools, resources, mentors, and different opportunities. And a big, one of the biggest things that is really a unique selling point for us is really your opportunity to get connected with different entrepreneurs across the globe. As you can see, we have 5,000 members online and offline. So through the Yay community, what we really do is that we bring together mentors, business support organization, youth entrepreneurs, and financiers all on one platform so that you can all get connected and you can also support each other in your entrepreneurial journey. And the goal of the Yay community is really to bring about collaboration and seeking partnerships without any barriers, and you get access to support without any barriers. So we also, not only do we have the online platform, but we also have offline platform. We also have something that we call Yay chapters, and these are localized networks of young entrepreneurs and partner BSOs that come together to provide entrepreneurs with capacity building and skills development, as well as you have the opportunity to interact with experts and also more regional opportunities, and also provides really the opportunity for business partnerships and expansion. So, so with that, the Yay
Hello.
community, yes, sorry. Isaac,
Yes.
yeah. Sorry, did you want to say something? All right. So with that, so with that, the gay community really helps young entrepreneurs build their entrepreneurial skills, build capacity. You always have access to online trainings across the community. And here is just a few of the different offerings that we have to offer. We have a global entrepreneurial network. We provide also e-learning courses for you to build your skills. We provide real life opportunities. So we connect you with different opportunities for youth entrepreneurs across the globe. We also provide easy access to mentors, different tools, and we also have events and awards, and we have flagship programs such as the Youth Entrepreneur Program. I know a few of you on here are part of the program where you can really benefit from, and you have the opportunity to win an award at the end of this particular program. So that's just a brief overview of the Yay community overall. And really, we encourage you to join the Yay community because you get connected, you get to know what is going on out there and beyond across the globe. So really feel free to join the Yay community. I'm going to put the link to the website in the chat for you to get connected. And with this, I'm going to pass it over to Isaac to start the training for today. Isaac, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
thank you so much, Deborah, for this program and for this noble work that you are doing in terms of empowering the entrepreneurs and also having this group so that they can always have a chance to be able to build their capacity as a team and also individually in whatever businesses or in whatever engagement they're involved or what they are aspiring to do. So today we want to focus more on environment, managing environment and ensuring that the data that we collect in our businesses and in our entrepreneurs is able to make sense to us, and also we can use it to build our businesses sustainably. So I would want to take you through, maybe I can share the slides. Um, uh, I don't know whether you can see the slides.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So my main goal is to look at how we are able to track, measure, and look at our metrics in our businesses so that we can understand. More focus for this presentation will be on how to look at the environmental data that we are able to collect, monitor, and track so that we are able to run our businesses in a way that is sustainable. So our focus mainly will be look at the environmental indicators and data that can support organization to be able to make both what we call strategic and operational decisions so as to build their businesses further. So that will be our main focus to just go through some of those metrics in terms of capturing environmental data and also managing it in our organization for your business sustainability. So if there are probably any questions, you'll help me, Dipora, if any questions comes through the chat so that I can respond to them as we progress.
Of course.
Okay. So quickly, I can move to the next slide. Uh, so our main agenda is to look at these three areas, say five in totality. One is what is environmental data collection? what is this data that we are expected to collect as a business? And the second part will be, why is it important to collect environmental data for medium size enterprises or medium smaller enterprises? And what is environmental data management system? Once you collect the data, how do you then utilize it, including the agenda number 4, which is to analyze the collected data to make a decision. And what you could do immediately, after you have understood all this, when you back to your business, what are these simple steps that you can take, either individually or as a group or as a company, to immediately start to realize the results of data management. So that will be the agenda, going through these 5 areas, which in the end should be able to give you some insight on how to manage environmental data and what is important for you and for your organizations. So I'll proceed to the next one. We have these objectives for this training. One is, of course, to raise awareness on the value of environmental data for your businesses. Look at tools that are easy to use for tracking and recording data. So we look at those tools. There are, of course, a number of tools for tracking and recording data for organization, but we look at the ones which are simple to use, and even the ones which are already established by ITC, which you can easily access. Then show how data can support better decisions, profitability, and access to green opportunities, and encourage immediate action towards simple data collection and management. A long journey starts with a simple step. So you have the chance to begin small and grow your steps towards even more complex system for collecting data. Then, of course, apply the issue of planning, doing checking, and acting cycle as a framework for ongoing improvement. That is to say, where do you start? Maybe you start at planning. You decide which data you need to collect. You then make a decision and implement that, collect the data. Then check yourself whether the data that you're collecting is useful to you, and also act where you feel the data is not consistent and may not lead to improvement. So we look at that as well. So I'll move quickly to module 1. If that is okay with everyone, Deborah, I hope you can proceed in this manner. Okay, so on module 1, we are looking at introduction to environmental data, to say, what is this environmental data that we're supposed to collect? And it can range from a number of things. Environmental data in this case then refers to information on how your business activities interact with natural resources such as water, air, electricity, fuel, wastes, chemicals during production or operation. So when you're collecting this data, you're actually trying to say, how does my business, how does my enterprise interact with the environment? How do I affect the environment? Do I draw water to use it in my processing or in my operation? Do I emit anything into the air, emissions of greenhouse gases? Do I use electricity? Do I use fuel? Do I generate waste? Do I use chemicals? So if you do all this, somehow in one way or the other, you affect the environment. And then it is good for you to monitor how you utilize these natural resources for one or two reasons. I will say for two major reasons. One is you want to ensure your businesses are sustainable. When you manage these resources, then you have more efficient in the way you operate. It means you have using less of this. You're going to spend a lot of money in your operation if you manage the way you use these resources. that in the end will lead to more profits and of course, business sustainability. So that's one way of looking at it is if you manage all these arrangements, then your business obviously will get better and you have more money for your disposal, either for business growth or to use it for any other purpose in your business other than paying or for these natural resources. Because if you don't manage them, then you use a lot of them and you might have to use more money in that manner. The second part is that we have to be a sustainable organization and responsible to the environment. So as we do this, we also protecting the environment from the effect of our production or from the effect of our business. So if we are using water, then we need to utilize water so that we are not generating wastewater that can affect the environment. If we are producing in our farms and we are emitting, we should ensure that we use machinery and equipment that is probably efficient so that they do not affect the environment. If you are using electricity, chances are this electricity is generated either from hydro or from fuels. And it is better that if this electricity is generated from non-renewable energy, then it would be better that we use less so that we can have a future. That includes fuel. If we are generating waste, it is better to reduce the waste that we are generating so that we do not harm the environment, but also we do not have to produce excess while there are other people who would have used these resources. And similarly to chemicals in our operation. So you look at it that way, either from a business perspective, where you're saying, does it have a business benefit? Or you look at it also from the environment. What is the benefit to the environment and sustainability and our future? So that is what you consider as environmental data. I have tried to explain in a nutshell what then we will go through in these slides from a single perspective in two ways. So what kind of environmental data could you collect? So it can range from energy consumption. How do you use energy? Energy can be in the form of electricity, fuel. It can be in the form of biomass. How much do you use? Is there a way we can track to save money, but also to save the world? What about water use? How much water do you use for your operations in the farms, in your operations? Is there ways we can monitor this usage so that we can use less? Because sometimes it is cost. Sometimes we do not have enough water, which is clean. Therefore, when we have opportunities to not utilize it, then we have saved others, and we can also make sure other people are getting this water as well. Waste generation. Waste can be money. If you segregate waste and you rework them, or you recycle, or you reuse, or you can recover energy. So waste is an opportunity to even generate more resources. And also in terms of sustainability, you're looking at even putting back that into the soil and the rest. And then emissions, you need to monitor your emissions. We talk currently of climate change, the greenhouse gases. It is as a result of this emission. You need to be able to understand what is the emissions that you generate and how can you monitor it so that it does not affect the environment. And also raw material. What kind of raw material do you draw? And the raw material that you use, is there a better way of utilizing it so that you're more efficient? All those including management of your supply chain, looking at the noise pollution and air quality, transportation, biodiversity, and compliance. Generally, those are the kinds of data that you can monitor in your organization or in your business to understand what is going on so that you can make decisions. So that is the kind of data that you can collect. Then going forward, we have some examples here on how you can collect some of this data. Like for example, water usage. This is just one example. You can decide that you want to understand how the water that you use, liters, the water to use per day. You can say, if, for example, you are processing hides, you would say, I want to have a target of liters per ton of the hide that you're processing per ton. So you should be able to understand the water used, the tonnage that you're processing, and then have a correlation between the tonnage and the liters and say, okay, I want to work around 3,000 liters per ton or 2,526. You can set a standard and say, I want to have a standard of this kind. So if your standard is 3,000, then if you drop, if you use more, it means you may need to look and say, do I have an issue? Like, for example, on the date of 5th May 2025, they used more liters of water per ton. That should be an indicator to entrepreneur that now they are losing money, but also now they're affecting the environment in one way or the other, because then they're using more resources, but also they're generating more waste. So you need to establish a benchmark in your organization. Sometimes, if you have data that has existed in your organization for more than, say, 3 years, you could actually develop your own benchmark and understand what is the best standard for you in terms of water use. If this was electricity, you could also do that. If this was fuel, you could also do that. Establish a benchmark of your own. There's some formula which you can do a regression analysis and be able to come up with a standard benchmark to compare yourself and yourself. When I say that, I mean to compare yourself when you are doing very well and to compare yourself when you're not doing very well and say what could be going wrong around my business. So that's one example of how to collect data. In a nutshell, I'm just giving examples. You could also collect data of the air emissions. You could consider collecting data on carbon dioxide from fuel consumption or particulate matter from boilers, or volatile organic compounds from chemical and solvents, or nitrite oxide and sulfur oxides from burning diesel and wood. The intention of all this is to try to understand how much of this is being emitted into the air, and are there ways in which we can reduce that so that we do not affect the environment. So this is you can decide that. You can get an expert to be able to collect this, and once you understand the volumes of these emissions that you have in your organization, then you can target to reduce it. And I'm sure there are control measures and mitigations on how to do that, filtering and all that, so that you do not then continue to emit that much. Okay, so those are just, I think, 2 examples in how to collect data. Before I can proceed to module 2, I don't know whether, Deborah, there are any coming questions that are coming in the text, so that I'm not here alone.
No, no, none yet.
Okay.
Yes, but for everyone, if you do have a question, please feel free to raise up your hand and we'll unmute you so you can ask your questions.
Okay, then thank you. I'll proceed to module 2. Why is environmental data important for businesses? So it is important because then you're able to understand yourself and which areas you're going to take action on. If you look at it, there is both what we call operational benefits and strategic benefits. Operational in the sense that you can make money, you can save money. If you collect the data, then you understand where the challenges are. When you address them, you save money. You also improve compliance. A lot of customers and buyers currently are looking at who is complying to what. Not only that, even government would prefer to work with organizations that are compliant, especially to environmental issues. So you'll find that if you are managing your data, then you improve compliance and you are in good books, both with your customers, but also with your government. Then promote circular practices. we promote circular production. In the circular economy, you are looking at ensuring that you manage what you produce so that you reduce the waste. So you design your products better, you encourage the market to recycle, you optimize the life cycle with alternative, you promote reuse and consumption and improve collections, and you encourage recycling. When you collect your environmental data, you play into the strategies of circular economy. For example, some of those practices like reducing waste, and some of those practices like reusing waste, some of those practices where you can encourage the designers of your products to ensure that when they are used, you can recycle them, you can reuse them, or even dispose them in a manner that does not affect the environment. But of course, in terms of operational benefits, you can also make decisions based on this data. Once you collect the data, then it should be easy for you to analyze the data and make the decision based on that and say, how is our operation? How is our machinery? Is it working well? How is our competence? Do we have the right team? How is our processes? Have we aligned them properly? How is our system, our documentation? Is it in line? Does it promote monitoring and identification of issues? So from analysis of the data, you can make quite a lot of operational decisions, which then can promote your business. Then in another angle, you look at it from strategic benefits. These strategic benefits will then lead to you making strategic decisions. From the data that you collect, you can decide and say, I think we are not headed in the right direction as a business. We need to get new ways of doing things. We need to either establish a new machinery or new team. Those are strategic decisions. You say, how do we go forward in terms of as an organization? What are the strategies that we need to put in place from those data that we have collected? And then cost leadership, as a result of this data, you can make decision on costs. You can lead. You can reduce wastages and non-conformities from your operations. You, as a result of management of environmental data, you can reduce non-outputs that are not good for your organization. That would mean you improve your costs management. But also, when you have a team that is motivated and understand how to collect environmental data, then they are likely to do more. And when they do more, they become more productive. So when you train your team on environmental data, then they are likely to cut costs and become even more productive and more efficient. Then compliance and differentiation. Once you have collected this data, it supports your compliance. That includes market access, because once you have complied with some of these voluntary sustainability standards, then you look different in the market and you can access market. You can access more buyers. You can have a wider portfolio of buyers who may need your services or may need your products. But in the end, you may also access green opportunities, sometimes even green financing, depending on what you do. So once you understand the data, a lot of organizations that partner with entrepreneurs would prefer entrepreneurs that understand their data. So this will contribute to you accessing even more opportunities and even sometimes support from those partners who may want to deal with organizations who understand themselves. So this is benefits that results from environmental data. I'll move a bit faster here because I have talked about this. Just to elaborate on operational benefits, you can decide that you want to save money and you want to draw a graph between when you are, before you implemented And environmental data management is the red graph. After you have implemented, you can see now you have started to push down the water usage, and you're looking at targeting to reduce to 2,200 liters per ton of what you are doing. So you can see the benefits there quickly. You can see that you are saving quite a lot of water use, which would mean translate to maybe you're saving electricity if you're pumping, and also you're saving any other labor and materials that is required to receive this water. So you can see the benefits that can benefit. Or you can promote circular economy, the issue of reuse, reduce, recycle. So when you design your operation, as you work with your suppliers and all those teams that support you, ensure that you're able to influence them so that they can even design for products for you which you can reuse. If you do not need, you can reduce the usage so that you do not produce more waste. And if you have used and they have come out as waste, then you can recycle. So also as you buy, as you purchase, as you get items from your suppliers, look at the life cycle. Look at it from the life cycle perspective to say, at the end of this product, how will I use it? Is there opportunities for recycling? Are there opportunities for reusing? So that you do not buy items that are properly difficult to dispose or reuse or recycle. So as you work with your suppliers, then from the data that you have collected, it can help you save that. Then, of course, we've talked about competence, operational. We've talked about your team will be competent, but also you'll be compliant. You will need to have maintained records to be able to track this. You will then track your metrics in terms of emissions, wastes, water, energy. Sometimes, as a result of this improved competence and compliance, you have set alerts, you get reminders and deadlines for anomalies. You're always ready for an audit in case you have either auditors from your customers, from your clients, from your supporters, from your donors or funders. You are traceable. You are up to date. Also, once the staff know that the data that they are keeping is being monitored, that they are being engaged to collect the data, then they become more motivated. They even keep more because they want to show that they're able to do. That way you even gain more confidence with the staff, and they're able to do more for the organization, and they become more practical. And then lastly is to support standard, to align your organization with legal and certification requirements. Of course, it goes on to decision making, which I've talked about. Say you can have benchmarks, you can identify problems with machinery, you can make changes, you can decide even out of the data to do cost-benefit analysis, and even ask yourself questions like, is it worth installing a water recycling system? But the only way you can know that is if you are collecting data, because data is what can help you if it is analyzed to make decision. So that way you make decision based on data. Yeah, they say always it is better to have decision based on evidence so that we don't make decision based on hearsays. We don't make decision based on a gossip. You don't make the decision just because you read somewhere that this is working. It is best to just analyze your own data and be able to even do cost benefit analysis on your own. And the data will tell you. If you collect data over time, then you will know whether this is worth investing in or where your business is headed, whether it is sustainable. Then, of course, strategic, we've talked about informed decision. You can make decision, not just guesswork. You as business owners need to make what we call strategic improvements. For example, if the electricity bills rise suddenly, data can help trace whether there is a problem with a specific machine, or is it the process that is causing it, or is it the people, or we have increased production? So you need to be able to track and trace that to the problems that can be addressed within the organization, or if they come from the external environment. Then cost reduction, wastes in fuel, water, and electricity is one hidden cost that is common. Sometimes you are trying to understand where your money has gone. Sometimes it is hidden in these wastes. For example, if you track fuel usage per delivery, you can highlight over use or route inefficiencies. So sometimes tracking to specific routes, to specific vehicles can easily tell you even the performance of a truck driver or a performance of a tractor vehicle driver. It can tell you between which model and which one is performing. So you need to be able to track to really identify the root cause or opportunities to improve our efficiencies. The thing is, you need to be simple initially, track simple things. Simple tracking will reveal a lot of things about your organization, like leaks, unnecessary lighting, idle equipment, which can save you and your organization. Okay, then of course, compliance, avoiding penalties. You don't want to be in the wrong side of the government. You want to be complying. So the data will help you to increase compliance and improve your environmental performance record. You're always ready. It will help you to be ready for any inspections, either by government or by auditors. You are always ready because you have data that is ready and you know where the problems are. So even simple tracking of waste disposal can help you demonstrate to the government or demonstrate to the auditors that your environmental awareness is okay and you're doing the right thing. So access to new markets, certifications. There are so many certifications currently around environment that include ISO 14000. There are other eco-label compliance. There is quite a long list of compliance that often require that you have environmental data records. Some organization or buyers source their products from transparent businesses. So that way, if you have data, you're likely to have better interaction with your buyers, and green financing, sustainability grants, and even carbon credit require that you document. So documentation is important if you are to pursue such benefits that come with this data, including that of green financing, sustainability grants, and carbon credit. So those are the benefits that come with that. And there's a simple case study here of a company here in Kenya. This was just a tea factory that had a problem of consumer and regulatory demands for sustainability. So they started to just collect the data and track their water use, energy, waste production, and carbon emissions. And the key finding were that data, just simply by tracking the data, it revealed that the drying process was the most energy intensive. So after investing in energy efficient dryers and lighting, the factory reduced its annual electricity consumption by 15%, which is a whole saving, $45,000 just by tracking to understand where is our problem. They also look at water usage, and the problem was, how do we improve our waste management? How do we cut our energy costs to save on operational costs? Because by just reducing 20% of their water usage, one of the things is they had less waste. They cut their energy costs because they are pumping. And you can see from that, they have already reduced their operational costs. No, that was not all. Additionally, they had these certifications now called Rainforest Alliance, which was easier to pursue because of data management. And sooner or later, they were now selling their teas at an increased price because now the product is differentiated because it is certified. But now the government also, They stayed away from all other regulatory requirements, avoiding penalties and attracting investment. So this is something that is real. It can happen. This is one of the organizations that we are guiding in terms of managing their environmental data. And you can see the output from just a simple way of tracking their data. So that it is possible. It is not something that is not possible. Just you start simple, and these are possible benefits. So those were the discussion around there. But now I want to move to module 3, unless there's a question in the chat box or anywhere else. Okay, then I proceed to the module 3. Module 3 generally talks about environmental data management system. This is to say, how do you establish this data management system in your organization? So it's a simple structure that enables you to systematically collect and analyze and use data for decision making. So the first step is to collect the data, track water, energy, and waste using any other tool. There are many tools. You can start with even simple templates in a sort of a hard copy. You can also do soft copies like Excel and others. You can use complex one. You can even have softwares. We have even the ICT tool, which we call the Greens Performance Tool, which you can access in the ITC website, which gives you the opportunity to track your own data. So you collect the data, but after collecting, the next step is to analyze the data. How is the trend? Compare actual usage versus targets. Identify the causes. Once you have analyzed the data, then you will know where are the gaps. What is the data variation and what is causing it? So once you understand the root cause, you can then identify the root causes and make the decision, taking correction based on the data, then now carrying out the changes in your organization, tracking the results as you monitor. So generally, this is the general framework for environmental data management system. It's starting from collecting data, analyzing, identifying the cause, deciding on the action, implementing the action, and tracking the results. Environmental data management, you need to think of it as your environmental diary. It helps you see where your money is leaking and how to fix it. So this is your diary. So just say, where is my money leaking and how do I fix it? Okay, so it can be simple methods, like you can have, you use existing records. You have utility bills, you have electricity bills, you have water bills. Those are areas where you can pick records quickly. You have fuel purchase records. You have production logbooks. You have waste disposal receipts. This is data that can be captured in a format that can help you to analyze. So these are just like raw data. This is where you can source your data. This is the sources of your data, and which you can collect now. It becomes information. Once you have them as information, you can analyze it, make it data so that you can use it as evidence to make the decision. So see what you have already. It's not complex. You can work from the area that you know to the area that is not known. So build it from here. Then it can also be ITC Greens Performance Toolkit. We have this tool available by ITC in that website where there's that website. This is a bottom-up solution empowering business to enhance resource efficiency and take climate action. This is tailored for SMEs as direct users with a focus of developing country context. So this is a tool that is available to enhance your business environmental performance It is available in English, Spanish, French, and Arabic. So if you don't want a simple template like the one we have, the one we have just described, the purchase record books, you can grow. This is not even complex. You can grow them here. They are simple templates which you just key in and you access your material. So, and here it is expanded all the way from energy, water, waste, water emissions, greenhouse gases, and chemical and soil. And you can customize it for any sector like textile, apparel, agribusiness, agro-processing. So you just need to log in there. This tool is available free in this website for entrepreneurs to track their environmental data. So any given time, you can access it and you can use it to track your environmental data, and it is available for free in that website. So this is a tool that is simple to use and clear. So if you have probably any challenges, you can always seek help from ITC on how to fill it. Or if you need more training, those are the things that you can discuss with Amari on this area. But this tool is easy to use, and can organization leverage on it to enhance your green performance or your environmental performance. Then I will move to module 4 unless there is a question or any input from the team. Deborah? Okay. If I'm not wrong, we are all okay. Can we move on? Okay. So we will go to module 4. Module 4 now, once you've collected that data using any tools of your preference, you can still, other than what we have talked about, the simple methods and the ones for the green performance tool by ITC, there are many other tools, the ones you prefer. You'll now be able to collect the data and analyze it. Okay, I see everyone says we need to share the notes after the recording. Yeah, I think we have done the recording. But generally, once you have collected the data, then it's good to make sense out of it. So for example, this is data that was collected on water use, running from January to February to March 2023. And then we're looking at the total cost in terms of USD, in terms of water use, the consumption, cubic meter of water used, then comparing that and say, what is the costs USD per unit? USD per unit, that's how much is it costing us per unit in terms of USD? And what is the production tonnage? Then resource versus production ratio. So you are on 2. Say this is, we are dealing with 2 here versus that production ratio. That is in terms of units. So if you decide that your benchmark is around 2, then when you go to 2.20, it means it's high. So you need to be able to interrogate that. So for example, sorry, maybe I can go back. Allow me to go back a bit, yes. In the next table, you can see the level of efficiency is moderate, and we just need to continue tracking the water use. If you need to maybe go to lower than that, maybe you need to install a flow meter or leak checks. And you've agreed that we do that by February. This is just an action plan from the data that you've collected. And you want to target to reduce the water use by 15% or cut leaks by 30% as a way. So you come up with an action plan as a result of analysis of your data. If it is high, you may want to go even to more strategic measures such as improve water recycling, reduce dependency on maybe usage of water from the river, you want to start building a recycling tank and be able to save like 20 cubic meters per month. So these are the actions that come from data analysis. So that then strategically you can start to look, if you are going to achieve those targets at the end, then it will mean you'll be saving all that. And of course, that is money. And not only that, like I mentioned initially, you'll also be saving the environment and relating better with interested parties who want to interact with the organization for this cause. So what do you do then? What resources is most critical or costly in your operation? So maybe I can give, if there are people who can interact and even raise up their hand and say, what is it that they need consider themselves? What is it that they consider in the organization as the most critical or costly operation? If you are not able to speak, you can always chat and say, what is that? Maybe you can put it in the chat box. What do you consider as the most costly resource in your organization? Anyone can type in there, or you can raise up your hand. Raw material, one of you has said raw materials, yeah. Water, there's a team, Renato said water. I see it's coming in. You can type in the chat box. Electricity, I've seen two teams already is talking about electricity. There is fuel. Yeah, there's someone says food, access to sanitation and hygiene, electricity, Suleiman. Musa says electricity. So you can let them come in, but the reason is that once you are able to identify what is the most critical or costly resource in your operation, I think this is the point where you begin. So identify that resource and beginning today, track it. Get to understand how you use it against your production, against your services, and say, can you compare your production against the electricity? And then, of course, you will quickly get to know over time how the trends look like, and then you're able to intervene. Then the next step is to commit to action. Write down and decide what is it that you will record in your logs, in your meter readings. What is it that you want to do immediately? Do you want to start recording this? Because it matters. These small tracking habits leads to big efficiency gains and cost savings. So as a team of entrepreneurs, find a way of identifying the resources that matter most or you think are more costly or critical. Choose those and say you want to begin in a small way. Write them down. Say, where will you get this data from? Is it from the logs, receipt, meter readings? Track them. Starting today, you can track them so that you are able then to start quickly understand. And the more you collect the data, the better for you in terms of analysis. The more the data, the better, because then it can give you a better picture during analysis. It gives you also the chance to even do more complex statistics such as regressions, those ones like mean. It will give you better statistics which can help you to make a decision and improve the confidence in terms of the decision because of the data that you have. And then smart business decision for quick wins. Reduce utility cost. Look at, once you've started collecting this, spot high usage. Sometimes if it is electricity, look at the weekends. Why is the weekend spikes? Could it be that machines are left on? Could it be staff during the weekends because there is less supervision? There is a way they are not efficient. Could it be the weekends are not the best time to do production because maybe the kind of module you have during that time could be expensive. So look at those. You can use timers, you can switch off checklists, you can have efficient bulbs, you can seal air water leaks to cut heating, cooling, or water cost. Look at those simple areas first and see whether those are the ones. Could it be that you can cut waste and save money? Compost organic waste and reuse? Could you separate recyclables and sell or donate when bins are full? Are you able to track wastes weekly to monitor savings on disposal fees? Some of the costs include even disposal fees. If you reduce the cost, if you reduce the waste, then you reduce the fees. Simple step, a small business decisions or smart business decision for quick wins. You can even do a more complex one. Once you have collected adequate data, you can do cost-benefit analysis. You can decide to collect this data and compare and say, what is the cost of investing in a new way of doing things? If maybe you want to reduce water usage, you want to say, I want to do recycling, or you want to install solar instead of using electricity. So when you have data, then it gives you the chance to do cost-benefit analysis on it and say, will it really give me return on investment? What will be the payback period? How much will it save me in a month? Do I go for this? Or it might not ever return the investment. So it gives you the chance also to rank your projects by looking at the quickest returns, calculate payback periods, and estimate the potential saving from the data. So all this is now at the level where you have collected the data and you want to make informed decision on this data that you have collected. You want to say, this is what I want to invest rather than this, because I feel like this one will give me more benefits from the data that you have collected. So lastly is make the decision. Data can become only valuable when you act on it. So implement it. Don't say I'll implement it next month. See whether you can start today. What change can you bring in your organization? Beginning today, look at the things that if you check now, how will it look like in the next 6 months? That way, you can act quickly on the things that you're able to work on without any, which does not require heavy investments. So plan now, let's act on it. You can start running such data as soon as you leave this meeting or as soon as you're back into your business. You can start saying, I want to track water, track lighting use, waste use, and say what is the total cost, what is the consumption via kilowatts, via kg, what is the units in terms of either dollars or Kenya shillings. Here I've used Kenya shillings, production, tonnage, what is the benchmark? Where do you want to work within in the future? So run this data as soon as you can so that you can start making decisions on these metrics. They are useful for your business. Then you can start thinking about completing such checklists like electricity. Why is it important? What will be the collection method as you plan? What is the frequency? How do I want to do that regularly? Who will be responsible? Why is it important to manage water? What method will I use? Is it record meter at the end or at the beginning, daily, weekly, monthly per machinery? Who will do that? The operator. How will I manage waste paper? Why is it important? Why do I want to manage waste paper? Do I weigh the bags? Do I know the quantities in Excel? How regular is that? Is it weekly? Who will do this? So you assign a sort of an action plan with the data type. Why is it important? What will be the tools of collection? What is the frequency? Who will be responsible? And any other information that you want to capture in this plan so that it can then trigger the process of data collection in your organization. So like we have said, you can use those tools, which we have mentioned, low cost, like utility bills, manual tally sheets, logbooks, Excel spreadsheet, Google Forms, symbol charts to visualize your trends. But also we have the one we have talked about, the ITC Green Performance Tool, which you can always use for your data collection. There are some common challenges with data, which you will manage as you collect. One, inconsistent data recording. When data inconsistent, then it might not give you the right picture. So we propose that you ensure that you assign this responsibility to more than one or two people so that they can help each other, they can check, and so that the data is more consistent. You can compare one data from one person to the other if you have adequate resources, but also you can monitor. If you don't have digital tools, you start with paper logs or printed forms. Or now in this case, you can do ITC, which is a free tool. You can just access it. Low staff awareness, involve them in why data matters. Please train the staff to understand why, so that they can help you to then collect the data that is useful. When one staff understand why, then they are likely to be involved. If you train them only on how, then chances are they will only do it because they have been asked to do. But when you tell them the benefits that come with this data management, then they are likely to be involved and motivated because they know they want to grow the organization, but also grow their competence. Data can be collected. We've seen quite organizations who collect the data, put them in the archive. It's never analyzed. It is never used. It is gathering dust. It is a waste of resource if you collect the data and you do not use it to make decisions. I would rather you don't collect the data than collect the data, use other resources, and not use it to make decisions, because the purpose of data is so that you can make monthly summaries, analyze them, then use it to make decisions for your enterprises and your businesses. Data can only be useful if it is analyzed. When it is collected as raw data and accumulates dust in the archives, or is not used, it is in our computers, occupying space, and resources has been used to collect the data, then it's not logical. It beats the purpose of generally data collection. So as I conclude, I know you haven't seen my face, but I don't know whether I'm still sharing the slide. Am I
You are all good.
still sharing my slide?
Yeah.
Not sure yet. Okay, so generally, if I go back to the slide, just a moment. I don't know what happened to my slides. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, yeah. So as I conclude, I was just talking about these challenges, which you can address during data collection, and you need to anticipate that. So generally, I think that brings me to the end of that presentation. Maybe at this point, we could take the opportunity to ask whether there are any questions relating to this discussion and this presentation from the teams. And I know a number of you have been on the chat. I don't know whether there are specific questions, Anna, which I need to respond to.
Let me just check. I don't see any questions so far. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat, or otherwise you can also raise your hand. You want to ask a question? Thank you so much for the presentation. That was really interesting.
So there seem to be no questions. So maybe to just conclude, So that is generally what we've learned. And in terms of summary, we've looked at what is environmental data management. We've looked at why environmental data management. We've looked at the how do you collect this data? And then once you collect, you analyze it for decision making. Then you can benefit in terms of sustaining your business and also ensuring that the environment is safe. And for business sustainability, I think this is a tool that is good for everyone. So I'll leave it at that. And thank you so much.
Sorry, just saw a question in the chat. How can we lower the high costs or waste in our enterprise in a graphic design company, which is the salary of staff?
Yeah. How can we lower the high cost or waste in our enterprise? Is a graphic design in a graphic design, which is the salary of staff. I didn't get that question, but if it means lowering the waste, high cost or waste in our enterprise, in a graphic design company, it means there is some waste that you generate as a company. The only way you can lower is first to understand that the waste that you're generating, and it can begin from, is there a way you can reduce the use of those material that leads to waste generation? Is there a way you can reduce? If there's a way you can reduce the use of those materials that lead into the waste, that is the first step. The second step, is there a way you can reuse what you generate? Because then when you reuse what you generate, it means you're not losing it. You're just repurposing it for other use. So that way it is not lost. It's not really a cost. And then, or you can recycle. If there is a way that material can be recycled, reprocessed for other uses, those are the opportunities. But for your case, I feel like the way to do this is to reduce the generation of that waste by ensuring that your processes in your graphic design company is better and is more efficient. That would mean you can also train your staff so that they are able to understand that it's better to not generate the waste rather than to reduce. In that manner, if you save the costs of producing more waste or producing products that are not conforming, then you can decide even to compensate the staff instead of losing the money into the waste. I don't know, maybe that's the understanding. Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
So I think I hope I've been able to respond to this question. I don't know whether there are any other questions.
I don't see any.
Okay. So then thank you so much for the opportunity to interact with this team. As entrepreneurs, now you have a chance to go and look at the businesses that you have, see what you can borrow from this discussion to enhance your operation, to improve your efficiencies, to save more money, and also to save the environment. Thank you so much. I will hand over this to Anna.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on that note, we can end the session for today. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I'm wishing you a very good day. Bye-bye.